When I look back at that week, it still amazes me how a single moment, just one careless, arrogant sentence, can expose a person's true character and flip an entire workplace upside down. I had been working at the company for 8 years, long before the new director, Ms. Taylor, even knew our organization existed. I'd built the client department from scratch, trained every new hire, created every major workflow, and managed the largest account our firm had ever landed. But the moment she arrived, she made it painfully clear that she didn't care about experience, loyalty, or results. She cared only about power, about proving she was the smartest person in the room, about crushing anyone she thought stood in her spotlight. From day one, she acted like my achievements were inconveniences rather than assets. She nitpicked everything, rewrote my emails, micromanaged my meetings, and made bizarre decisions that ignored every piece of practical knowledge my team and I had collected over the years. But I stayed calm, professional, and focused, because I had something far more important on my plate: a massive Friday presentation for a multi-million-dollar client, the kind of presentation that could make or break our entire quarter. I had spent weeks preparing, analyzing every detail, predicting every possible question, and building a polished deck that even impressed our CFO. Everyone knew this presentation was crucial, everyone except Ms. Taylor. On Wednesday morning, she stormed into the office like she was auditioning for a villain role in a corporate drama. She gathered my entire team, raised her voice louder than necessary, and delivered a speech about a new era of leadership and cutting dead weight to improve efficiency. My team looked confused because no one understood what she meant, until she pointed directly at me with that smug, self-satisfied smile and said, "Effective immediately, you're terminated." The room fell silent. Not a respectful silence either, more like stunned disbelief. She didn't give a reason, she didn't cite a policy, she didn't reference performance. She just did it publicly, theatrically, as if humiliating me somehow proved she was strong. I could feel every pair of eyes in the room watching, waiting for me to break down or lash out. But I didn't. I simply nodded, kept my voice steady, and said, "All right, I hope Friday's client presentation goes well." The moment I said that, her eyebrows pinched together in confusion. "What presentation?" she asked, clearly trying to sound authoritative but failing. I calmly replied, "No worries, you'll figure it out." Then I packed my laptop, cleared my desk, and walked out while she stared after me like she sensed she'd missed something important but was too proud to admit it. What she didn't know, because she never bothered to learn anything, was that the Friday meeting wasn't just any presentation. It was the renewal pitch for our biggest client, a contract worth tens of millions that required in-depth product knowledge, historical context, budget forecasting, and operational breakdowns she didn't even know existed. I had built the entire relationship over years, attended every one of their events, and understood their business inside out. They trusted me, not the company, not the leadership, me. And because she fired me before the presentation, she legally removed me from responsibility. I had no obligation to prepare anything for her, no duty to warn her, and no reason to save her from her own ego. On Thursday night, while she probably prepared outfits and practiced power poses in front of a mirror, I met privately with a senior executive from a competitor who had been trying to hire me for months. When he heard what happened, he laughed and said, "You're hired, name your salary." I accepted on the spot. Friday morning arrived like a storm masked behind sunshine. I woke up without an alarm, brewed coffee slowly, and sat by the window enjoying the peaceful silence, imagining the exact opposite happening at my former office. Around 9:45 a.m. my phone began buzzing uncontrollably. First texts, then missed calls, then voicemails from numbers I recognized and numbers I didn't. I ignored most of them, sipping my coffee while watching the chaos unfold from a distance. Eventually curiosity got the better of me, so I played one voicemail from a former coworker whispering urgently, "She's panicking. The clients are here, nobody knows the details, and she's pretending everything is under control, but she's sweating through her blazer." Another coworker sent a text, "She keeps asking where the slide deck is. No one has it. She didn't even know the client's CEO would be attending." Turns out Ms. Taylor had walked into that conference room completely oblivious. She tried improvising, but she didn't know the numbers, didn't understand the project scope, didn't recognize half the client's leadership, and couldn't answer basic questions about timelines and deliverables. The clients were polite at first, but politeness quickly shifted into irritation. Then irritation shifted into disappointment. And by the end of the meeting, disappointment had evolved into something far more dangerous: distrust. Half an hour later, a VP called me privately. "They're transferring the entire account to another firm," he said. "They're furious, and they specifically mentioned your absence as the reason." That single loss triggered a domino effect. Shareholders got involved, executives demanded explanations, HR launched a formal investigation, and Ms. Taylor, she unraveled. Her emails became frantic, blaming everyone but herself. She insisted she didn't fire me, just temporarily removed me. She claimed no one told her about the presentation, even though I'd emailed her weekly updates she never read. But the funniest part was when she finally texted me personally, "Can you come in and fix this, just this once?" It was almost sweet in a delusional sort of way. I politely declined, telling her I had accepted a different position with a competing firm. Her reply arrived within seconds, A long, furious paragraph filled with excuses and accusations that only made her look worse. I didn't bother replying. Within 2 weeks she was demoted, and another 2 weeks later she was gone entirely. Not fired publicly like I was, no, she got the quiet, discreet exit that companies give to people they want to erase without drawing attention. Meanwhile, my new position came with a salary nearly 30% higher, a signing bonus, and a leadership title that actually recognized my experience. The best part. The client account she lost followed me to my new company, signing an even larger contract because they valued stability and integrity over theatrics and ego. My old team reached out constantly, telling me morale skyrocketed the moment she left. Apparently, the executives rewrote numerous policies afterward, making public terminations without cause strictly prohibited. Now, whenever I tell this story, people think the satisfying part was watching her career collapse, but honestly, the real satisfaction came before all of that. It came in the quiet moment when I walked out of that meeting room calm, composed, unbothered, while she stood there blinking like she had just triggered a bomb she didn't realize was sitting at her feet. She fired me to feel powerful. She fired me to prove a point. Instead, she fired herself without even knowing it. And in the end, the only thing I needed to say was the same thing I told her that day: you'll figure it out.